Of activists, bloggers, authors, and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of a month, 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning back into the UnitedWeStart radio broadcast. Here it's February 10th, 2018. We've got Sheriff Mack on the line. He's been on my show a few times and along with us on the UnitedWeStrike.com radio marathons a few times. He is a patriot, freedom fighter here in America. As a sheriff in Arizona, he brought his case, Prince versus U.S., to the Supreme Court to fight the Brady bill, and he won that. So it was a Second Amendment win and a states' right win. Then he went to form the CSPOA, the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, and he's done a lot of good work educating law enforcement people about their constitutional oath to protect that Constitution. And he has also written a couple books, which I've given to my sheriff as well, called The Constitutional Sheriff and Are You a David? Short reads, but they're great in helping you understand freedom. And we're happy to have him on today because he's running for U.S. Congress for the state of Arizona. So, Sheriff Richard Mack, thank you for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me, man. You really said a mouthful there. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, you're one of my favorite activists out there. I mean, you're really out there. You're not afraid to put yourself out on the line and take the barbs that come along with that activity. You know, so I really respect people like you.
Well, it wasn't all that easy taking on the Clinton administration, and it's quite miraculous, actually, for a small-town sheriff, the youngest sheriff in the state of Arizona at the time, to start a national crusade and a national lawsuit against one of the most powerful administrations in our nation's history, to take on the Clintons, who have a history of corruption and taking care of people that go after them, and then to actually take that to the United States Supreme Court and win. And when you said Prince was the other sheriff who joined me in this lawsuit. For some reason, his name stuck. I guess the Supreme Court clerk liked his name better than I did, or liked liked Prince better than Mack Prince. But I was the first one who started the whole thing, and Sheriff Prince is a good friend of mine, and he and I have done quite a bit together in the past. I haven't talked to him for a couple of years, but he is a great man, and both of us deserve to have our names attached to that case. And it was quite historical, the first time ever that a sheriff sued the federal government and won. So it's a case that every one of your listeners, every one of you should look up. Just Google Mack versus U.S. and it'll come up. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and then it was a good decision because it said that the states do have the right to their own sovereignty in effect, right?
Yes, exactly, and what everybody needs to know is what the decision said, and it reinforced another decision that was called New York versus U.S. And in the New York decisions, Justice Scalia, who wrote this decision, said that we have held, however, because he's already talking about another case that they brought up, we have held, however, that state legislatures are not subject to federal direction. In other words, the federal government, the President of the United States, they are not our boss. And so that's what we're talking about here. Federalism, state sovereignty, local autonomy, and the proper role of government. And so it was an amazing case. And again, the most powerful decision based on the 10th Amendment. in the history of our country. And this past year, 2017, marked the 20th year of that great Scalia decision.
Well, congratulations on that. The reason we got you on today, Sheriff Mack, is I was so tickled when I saw your email saying that you were running for Congress, and I was wanting to talk to you about that and get our audience up to speed of your efforts here. So tell us about your decision of running for Congress.
Well, it was based on the same principle that I sued the federal government on 24 years ago, and it was based on the principle of liberty, and that's why I'm running for this. I sued the Clinton administration. I fought the Clinton administration, and this is the same reason I'm running for Congress, because we have so much more to do there, and it's all based on the principles of liberty that we're supposedly all supposed to believe in. And so I teach high school also. I don't know if you know that about me, but I actually am a high school teacher, and I teach government and constitution government and economics. And the students in there said, "Well, Sheriff, how come you're not running?" And I said, "What do you mean running? I've always been running." They go, "Why aren't you running for office? You keep telling us all the solutions and the answer and the how to end the problems in Washington." And they said, "Well, so why aren't you running?" I said, "Well, I'm preparing all of you to run." And they said, "So you want us to run, but you won't run." And I said, "Okay, I'll run." So and what they said is that they used my own words against me, because they said, "Sheriff, you've always said it's not in the knowing, but it's in the doing. So why aren't you doing?" And I said, "You know what? You're right." So really, my students are really largely responsible for me making the decision, or at least looking into it, because quite frankly, I've always been ready to run, and I've always wanted to defend the Constitution. And this is, as you well know, Matt, that's what I'm about.
Yes,
So,
yes, indeed. And that's really neat that your students encourage you to do that and challenge you to in a way.
I know. I know. They keep, and all of them are asking for my bumper stickers and my lapel stickers and stuff like that, and they put them on their water bottles and their notebooks and a few things. So they're kind of getting into it, and it's been kind of fun. And they all want to go to some of the open forums. Like I just got finished right now with a candidate forum where 10 of us were there and defending our records and defending our viewpoints. And it was quite lively, but I will tell you, there's no question that I made the biggest splash of the 10 candidates there today. And people came from the audience who were not even supporting me, who said that. So I'm not voting for you, but boy, you sure did well today. And
excellent.
So you know, a lot of people were there already working for some other candidates. Obviously, my wife was there, my campaign manager was there, and I had some friends and family there. So to hear from another candidate's people that I did the best today was really gratifying.
Well, you've been in front of the public before, so you have that kind of draw, you have that presence. But I was going to ask you about the seat you're running for. Whose seat is vacating that you're running? Isn't this a special election?
Yeah, it is a special election. That's a good question, because Trent Franks abruptly resigned 2 months ago, and that's how quick this was. I mean, it gave us 2 months to get ready for this thing. This election is February 27th, and I will tell you, we have the last 2 weeks, we've got to raise $25,000 more to get the airwaves saturated with the Sheriff Mack ads, so that we can get these undecided voters. And undecided voters, the undecided percentage is the leading amount right now. I believe I got undecided votes today in that audience. It was packed full. There's about 200 people there. It was standing room only. There was a lot of people there who were not already on board with somebody, and I believe I did very well. Now I've got to take that same thing to the airwaves so that I get the rest of the people in the community on board with instead of being undecided, that they're pro Sheriff Mack, and they're going to vote for Richard Mack on February 27th. Now, the website is sheriffrichardmack.com, and you can donate right there. So it doesn't matter where you are, if you're in Ireland or Switzerland or the Bahamas. You can get on the computer and donate at sheriffrichardmack.com. It's all lowercase, all one word, sheriffrichardmack.com.
So there's got to be an establishment candidate that you're going up against, because
You're wrong. You're wrong. Wait a minute. There's 4 of them.
4 of them. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
So you really got your work cut out for you then.
Well, yeah. But what we're counting on is that those 4 will split up the vote pretty evenly, and allow me as a dark horse to kind of come through the middle. And like I say, we can get that undecided vote over to us. Again, that shows how important it is that we can get all these radio ads going throughout the entire district. Now, Trent Franks is already gone, but his district is District 8, which is the northwest part of the Maricopa County Valley, which is northwest Phoenix. So it's the biggest city there would be Peoria, and it's a lot of people here, and we've got to get our message out, and that's really what we have planned for the last 2 weeks and 3 days.
I would encourage folks to help you out, because we need people like you in Congress. And I know that it's vicious. And if you're not the establishment candidate, you're rubbing them as a Republican, I'm assuming, and they will viciously try to eat you up and spit you out and make you look bad, so that you don't have a chance. And I wouldn't be surprised that they wouldn't cast aspersions your direction as being a racist of some kind, or because you stand for freedom. Because we're so messed up in America anymore that standing for freedom is somehow racist.
Yeah, exactly. If you preach about the Constitution and the Founding Fathers, all of a sudden you're a racist. And the left and the media have a way of doing that. And so, yes, I've been fighting the establishment there, and I've been fighting the establishment within the Republican Party. But I'll tell you what, the people are the ones that are going to decide this, and it looks like it's turning in my favor.
Well, I will make another donation here after we get off the air, because I didn't know your election date was so soon. So so let's say you do get elected. What's your agenda going into Congress?
Well, the first thing is to drain the swamp. President Trump was absolutely correct when he said we need to drain the swamp. The only problem is we haven't done it nearly enough. We need to abolish the IRS. We need to audit the Fed or abolish the Fed altogether. It's not federal, it's private banks. And we need to get the other agencies out of Washington, D.C. They shouldn't be there. The Department of Education, where did that ever come from? It's not authorized by the Constitution. They've done nothing but soak up money and make our schools worse. The state of Arizona can run its own education. The state of Wisconsin, the state of Virginia, they can run their own education without federal government.
Sheriff Mack,
we elect. Yes.
Your signal's breaking up. I don't know if you can get into a better position.
Okay, how's that?
That's better. Continue, please.
Okay, so we just need to go down the alphabet list of bureaucracies that we don't need and that have been counterproductive to freedom. Another one would be the BATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the DEA, and we could literally do 20 agencies, get them out of there, and then in draining the swamp, we need to actually increase the benefits and health care for our veterans. That's where we have really failed. Obama really went for health care for everybody, but he still never took care of the veterans. And even when the corruption of the VA was more than obvious, They change the names of the directors on the door, but they don't change any activity. So that's another one I will really address. Social Security is very poorly managed. It's only managed by seriously, do you know that Social Security is actually managed by a programmed computer? You don't even get to deal with real people. It just is a programmed computer. There are so many abuses there, and it has been so poorly managed and poorly run. I am so sick and tired of this Congress so ineptly not being able to run Social Security. Another one right there is to get rid of the national debt. And as we've just seen recently, just yesterday, day before, how the Republicans now vote for more spending. We have got to stop deficit spending. And this is one Republican who will actually do that and keep their word to do that. Rand Paul was right. We need to elect the people who are the most conservative running for Congress.
I sure do hope you get in. And you're not going to make any friends though in Washington. You're going to have a big target on your, a bullseye on your back.
Well,
sure.
I'm going to make friends with some. So, some of them that really do support the Constitution, I do want to coalesce with them. But there's quite a few. But if they see that somebody else is taking the Constitution seriously, I believe we can make some headway. I do plan to work with others, but I will not compromise these principles that I've just mentioned. And I will enforce the Constitution. That's where integrity really comes into play in Washington, D.C. They all swear an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. There's very few that actually keep that oath. I will.
Exactly. Well, and I know you would, because that's what your CSPOA is all about. So I've been hogging the microphone for a while here. We've got Detlev, Michael, and Alan from UnitedWeStart here. Do you guys have questions or comments for Sheriff Mack?
Yes, it's Detlev here from Switzerland. Well, we are very encouraged seeing people, heading to political offices, are really who have their heart on the right place and try to change to the better, especially for people in the United States. But I'm also looking at the world events. I mean, we are very worried about the situation currently because there is a war, possibly a World War III, in the going. What is your point of view in terms of international politics? What would you try to influence your president to do?
Oh, that's a real good question, and I welcome that question. First of all, the United States of America is involved in far too many foreign wars, and we need to be less assuming that we're the world's police department. We've been in Afghanistan for 16 years now, almost 17 years now, and nobody even knows why we're there anymore. In fact, I have followed that closely, and I don't even remember why we're there anymore. We committed horrible atrocities during the Vietnam War era. We were there 10 years, and 60,000 to 60,000 Americans died in this war. That was all subterfuge and political lies. And Lyndon Johnson lied to protect himself and risked the lives of our youngsters in this country when he knew darn well that there was no way we were going to win this or that we could win it. And so I'm talking about some of these historical events that prove that America should not be interjecting themselves so frequently into the countries of foreign nations and into the affairs of foreign nations. So I believe in honest, open trade with all countries, but entangling alliances need to be curtailed and cut back, if not stopped altogether. Honest, open relationships, yes, absolutely. Friendly trade with all nations. But what we've been doing in trying to pretend to be the world's police has not been working. it's created a lot of violence throughout the world, and it's diminished the peace that should be created in the world. And I think that's also been a mistake that the United Nations has made. But other than that, I really want to curtail our involvement in foreign wars.
Yeah,
excellent.
Good to hear. Yeah, thank you. So, Alan?
Yeah, I was just going to say to Sheriff Mack something that he said there when he was talking about his integrity and all the things that he was going to make sure that he's going to keep his promise and bring forward when he gets into politics. Sheriff Mack, I'm sure you're aware that there's people out there who won't like what you're doing. And we were just talking earlier on the show about a person's integrity and the 5 things they look at in an individual to see if they can blackmail them. Have you come across any issues during your political campaign or any people that you might suspect that somebody might do something, or you might think that something might be done to you to stop you getting any further?
Well, yeah, I'm always a little bit leery of that, but people thought that was going to happen to me when I was suing the Clinton administration, and then they thought it was going to happen after I won at the United States Supreme Court, which is absolutely unheard of, which is a total miracle. So yes, I'm concerned about that, but it's not going to stop what I do. It's not going to change who I am. I just got an endorsement just a couple of days ago from the RLC, which is the Republican Liberty Caucus. And the reason they voted for me and granted me that endorsement was because of my record in defending liberty. And so, my record speaks for itself. I've been doing that for the last 25, 30 years, and I'm not going to change now. Maybe the media can pull some shenanigans like the Arizona Republic. They refuse to allow me to be on one of the debates. They're kind of just a mainstream establishment newspaper, and I've been highly critical of them in the past, just like Trump has. And, I'm kind of a Donald Trump candidate in ways. I've never been in a legislature. I have been in politics a little bit, because, being a sheriff is a political position. It is an elected position here in the United States. And I'm proud of that, but mostly I'm a law and order guy. I am a law enforcement officer. I'm a former detective. I'm a former undercover narcotics officer. And so I think President Trump needs me. I think he needs a backup officer. But at the same time, I also say he's made some mistakes since he's been in there. And I will absolutely bring those to his attention so that we can get this country back on track. We can make our country less felt by the citizens, get out of the lives and off the backs of the American taxpayer, and let the entrepreneurs of this country take our business to the next level and stop the tariffs and stop the interference that our federal bureaucracies have become so accustomed to doing. So we've got to make taxes much less. We've got to make government much smaller, and we got to get the American people free to run their businesses and their households as they choose and not as government chooses.
Okay.
Excellent.
That's
we need to
excellent.
wrap. Yeah, we got to wrap pretty quick.
Okay.
But Michael, do you have a quick question for the sheriff?
Yes, hello. My name is Michael. I also work for Wake News. And we were talking about metaphysical issues, about good and evil, and about how the evil Herodian cabal was ruling mankind ever since. And my question would be, what do you do to face this cabal, and what do you do that you wouldn't be influenced by them?
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what you said. The medical what?
Metaphysical. We were talking about good and evil, about the situation, about politics and about human structures, that there are forces in the world, that basically go into the ruling system, and they're not there for the common people. They're there for the elite, for their elitist separateness.
Right.
And they don't serve the people. They serve only themselves and egoistic means. So I call them the Herodian cabal elite. And they've been ruling.
Okay, I got you. Yes, I understand.
They've been ruling the world.
The evil that exists in the world is exactly something I hope that America starts to address, that we are the beacon on the hill for freedom, I hope. I hope to be a part of that. But I also have spent the last 20 years defending the little guy against these types of abuses. And sometimes the greatest evil that has ever been purported is by our own governments. And we need to recognize that. And I will stand against that, and I don't care where it is. But we've got to start in Washington, D.C., and work our way throughout the rest of the world from there. But we must start that here. I will.
And I'm so proud of you.
That'd be wonderful if you can make the Black House white again, so we can really call it a White House.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I agree with you. And I would love to come and give some of these speeches to other nations. I would absolutely invite that and love that.
And we would need that. And we appreciate you coming on and joining us today, Sheriff Mack. I wish you all the best in your election. I will make another donation. And, if you do get elected, I promise I'll take a couple days off. I'll come out to Washington, and I want to get a picture of you and I shaking hands in front of the Capitol building. I will do that.
Oh, I'd love that. In the meantime, once again, my website, sheriffrichardmack.com. I would love to see a donation from each of you. That would really make my day. And I thank you for that.
You can count on mine. Okay, thanks, Sheriff Mack. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon. And if you win, I'll be seeing you in Washington.
Absolutely. See you soon.
Okay, thanks a lot. There he goes. That was Richard Mack running for Congress, and on our great guest to have on our first show of United We Start, because we're here to help bring information and people like that to you, so that you can see that there are good people in this world fighting for freedom, fighting for liberty, and he's one of the best America has to offer. So, let's pray for his success and go over and give him a donation.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Matt, and thanks a lot to Sheriff Mack for his courage. And thank you all participating, Alan, Michael as well, and all our listeners. And also in our chat room, thanks for your contribution here with your thoughts. So we have already reached the end of our first United We Start roundtable. So anybody want to add something to that?
I think we'll do a round table, won't we? We'll do a round robin to everybody with the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's how we normally close. Yeah.
We close it down. So very quickly, Detlev, thanks for all your hosting and your work with the United We Start, and Matt also, because we put in a lot of work to get this up and running. And I look forward to next month and another guest. And for myself, Alan James from Open Your Mind Radio, we'll see you next week. Not next week, next month. Next week is normally the radio show. Next month. We'll see you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.
Michael?
Well, actually, it was quite a good start for the roundtable. We got quite a few subjects covered here. I mean, I think when we continue like this, I see big scope to talk for the next 200 years.
Absolutely. Matt?
Yeah, well, I'd like to thank Michael for joining us today, and I'd like to thank Detlev for all the work he's done producing. And I know that's a lot of work because I've done it, and so does Alan. I'd like to thank Alan for doing the work he does on the website. And, I'm encouraged. This really felt good to be back, to be able to share ideas and bring information that I, don't know, that I learned from you guys. And now hopefully we're inspiring our audience, and our audience will grow. So, go ahead and tell your friends and family about this show. Tune in, come back and listen to our rebroadcast and the restream of it every month, because we as a society have an opportunity now to win. Like with people like Sheriff Mack running for Congress, that's a win in itself. He's inspiring his students to do what he's doing, and they're challenging him to do what he's doing. And, that generation will now pick up the banner and start their fight for freedom. So hopefully that's what we're doing here, and I'm encouraged by that. My website is nwodor.com, nwodor.com. And I'm not currently doing my radio show. I've been taking a break, but I'm gearing up to restart my broadcasting. So I'll keep you informed of my activity there. So just head up to nwodor.com. There's lots of great archive shows with great guests that you'll learn a ton, from medical information to keeping you healthy, or to learn about the depths of who actually runs the New World Order. Go to nwodor.com. The great library of audio interviews I've done with a vast array of people. Great library for you to learn from. Take that, share it with your friends. And I'll join with you guys next week. But before I do that, I always say at the end of my shows, death to the New World Order.
Yes. Thank you very much, Matt. Yeah, we're heading towards the end of the show. I also want to encourage anybody who wants to participate in our show as a guest, or want to be part of our discussion, please turn to us using our email uws@wakenews.net. If you're interested in German-speaking shows and so forth, visit us at wakenews.net, and visit also our video channel, our own video channel, which is wakenews.tv. You will find many English-speaking videos as well. I think we have about 10,000 different videos there already for you available. So thanks a lot. Tune in, check in for our next UnitedWeStart roundtable discussion, which will take place the second Saturday of the month. And we appreciate you being here and seeing you soon. This is Detlev of Wake News Radio. We are now listening to Neil Fox's F.K, the Fed, the censored version, obviously. So see you then. Bye-bye.
United We Start. We explore the New World Order, finance, science, health, and other subjects in our group discussions of activists, bloggers, authors, and other leaders in the independent media to inform and educate listeners on various topics. Join us the second Saturday of the month at 10 to 12 a.m. Pacific Time, 18 to 20 hours GMT. Looking forward to meeting you.